This is Meher, and you're listening to yet another episode of the GIIS podcast, the SMART Cast. On our ongoing journey of interviewing top scorers who reveal their secrets behind such perfect scores, today we have with us Shivani Welling. Shivani is a top IBA student with impeccable scores. In addition to her being an academy topper, she is also interested in debating and public speaking with awards at MUNs, including the Cambridge High School MUN. She has also been part of the school basketball team since sixth grade and is an enthusiastic participant in other forms of sports and athletics. Not only that, she has also been a guest speaker at the TEDx Youth event at the GIIS SMART Campus. Having said that, welcome Shivani. It's a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
So your achievements are truly fantastic. So Shivani, were you expecting such perfect scores, and what was your initial reaction to them?
I feel that especially this year, it's been quite unpredictable. And the fact that we really didn't have exams, and with the ongoing COVID-19 situation, it wasn't really fair, I felt, to really expect a certain score. And especially because we didn't write the exams, and that's the component I'm usually the most comfortable with, it was a little strange to be getting results without even having attempted that. And having that said, having all your scores based on IAs and previous assignments, none of us could really be sure exactly of which direction we were headed in. So after a point, with all the difficult situations that were going around in the world, I felt that it was really just more or less hoping that I'd get the conditions for my universities, and I would have been okay with that. But having that said, receiving the score was actually quite a strange situation, because we were informed that we wouldn't get the scores till the day after in school. Mm-hmm. So I actually received a call from my friend around midnight, and he said, "Congratulations." And my first reaction was, "For what?" Because we weren't really sure exactly at that point. We were told we wouldn't get our scores, so I was really confused. And then he said, "You got a 45." And I was so confused because I didn't receive an email, and I hadn't seen the announcement either. And my parents didn't see it either. So even the way I told my mom was more or less like, "I think I got a 45." And especially it was such a difficult situation, and no one could really tell if with COVID everything was going to go well. None of us could really rest easy until I had the actual physical piece of paper in my hand. And that was the only time I sort of breathed a sigh of relief and said, okay, thank God. And that was when that was when it finally settled in. So up till then, it was kind of like a mix of euphoria and a bit of I'm a little perplexed.
So learning about all your achievements, our listeners would surely want to know your secret behind such fabulous scores. Do you mind sharing?
I don't think there's any one particular secret per se. I just think each student really has to figure out what really works for them, especially when it comes to studying for exams. You should really find out what kind of a learner you are, whether you're audio or visual, and sort of make the most of that. And I think, especially in this age, we're really blessed that we have a whole plethora of resources at our disposal, because we have so many online platforms. You not only have online notes, you have videos, you have so many websites, which are sort of just solely catered to this purpose. So I really think everyone should make the most of all the resources and sort of use multiple modes of learning. Like, for example, if I get bored of reading the textbook, I'd watch a video online. And if I get bored of that, maybe I'd listen to a crash course or something. So that kind of helps it that kind of keeps it a little more refreshing and a little more exciting, I guess, for students. So, and it sort of helps you sort of consolidate everything you've learned. And not only that, but one thing I think is pretty important, at least to me, as someone who genuinely likes learning, this is something I do in general, but I usually like learning a little bit outside of the syllabus, a little bit more in depth. And I think that's important because it really helps you get your foundation correct. And not only that, but sometimes at the high school level, we're not doing PhDs here. So obviously there's going to be quite a few gaps in our learning. There might be a few times where you question, okay, but why does this happen? So I really think it's up to the students to really go find out why and sort of dig a little deeper, so that, not only is your interest sustained, but while you're going ahead with your learning, you're also consolidating what you have before. And I think that's two things that I suggest to every Ivy learner. is use all the resources, use multiple modes of learning, and also try to learn a little bit outside the syllabus. And that always helps. And a little bit more is always better than a little bit less.
Right. So I think people around us play a really important role in our daily lives. So who all do you think played an integral role in helping you reach your goals, and what role did your parents and teachers play?
As like you mentioned, parents and teachers played a very pivotal role in my IB experience for me personally. Especially my parents, and I'm sure this goes for I'm sure this goes for everyone out there, but they really have been my foundation. They've really been like the most important support for me. So, and most of the studying and assignments and the work usually takes place at home, and that's usually where you end up a little more tense. And it's really important that you have an environment at home where your parents really support you and that they understand that it can be stressful. And so obviously having someone to talk to at home and having them support me, not only just emotionally, but also sometimes physically, dropping me to school, accompanying me to exams, or even if I had interviews for my colleges, they were always there with me. So I think that's very important. And especially my teachers, they made a really big difference in my IB experience. And I'm really grateful to them for that, because I know I was sometimes quite a nuisance in IB. I can't lie, especially when it came to assignments or something, or even preparing for exams. I was always kind of like, oh, a last minute person or something. But in that in that way, they were super patient and super understanding, and I think that was so important, because the fact that they were so understanding really gave me that space to be more of myself and kind of take all my assignments and all my eyes like in the direction that I wanted. And they sort of gave me that space to be able to have creative control and sort of be able to go the direction I wanted to in all of my assignments. And they guided me in every aspect of that too. So I'm really grateful for all these people. And of course, friends, because I mean, life is just better with them.
Yeah.
You always need a bit of a smile. You need a laugh sometimes. And of course, friends are always there for that. And we're all in this together. So, who else to better relate to?
Yeah. Okay, so it's really a Herculean task to find a balance between your academics and extracurriculars and excel in both. So how did you manage to do this?
I think from from 10th grade, I had quite reduced the number of activities that I was doing. I think it was more or less trial error on my part, because in 10th grade and the previous grades, I used to take on way too many activities and stuff. So I was always rushing from one place to the other to the other. So I guess in IB, I'd sort of whittled down the things that I was really, really interested in. And at that point, I figured out exactly what I wanted to pursue a little more. And I guess that helped. But also the fact that I look more at extracurriculars as places where, they're usually stress busters for me. When it comes to art and music and stuff, those are where they're usually cathartic experiences. So they don't really fall into that category that will sort of give me stress or something. And also, I suggest just going after those extracurriculars that really add value to you as a person. Like, I understand, of course, trying out new experiences is very important. But at the same time, if you really want to pursue one extracurricular, make sure that you dedicate time for it and that you sort of prioritize the activities that you want to do, and those that will really add to the experiences and add to the skill set you already have as a person. So I guess in that sense, sort of, first of all, look at them as stress busters. They're there to add to you as a person. They're not there to really give you stress in addition to your studies. But yeah, also prioritize when your assignments are due. Just make sure that you have your time management down. That's about it.
So a lot of people share this one common thing known as exam stress. So did you ever feel such stress or pressure? And if so, how did you deal with it? And what inspired you to keep going?
To be fair, stress is really my middle name. I can't lie. But I guess it's sort of a learning journey for everyone, because stress manifests different for everyone, and stress is sort of, it's universal. Like it's universal. Like I'm pretty sure you've heard about all the IB stress jokes already.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I guess it's more or less just finding what works for you. I know for a fact that before my assignments, or especially I had like a lot of tedious little jobs to do during my IAs, and I used to get so stressed. I used to just feel like, oh my God, like, you know what, I kind of feel like leaving it here. But it's really important to remember why you're there in the first place. I mean, I just kept repeating to myself, it'd be a shame. We've been through 12 years of schooling. Just, make sure you sort of nail that last bit. And you're here for a reason, kind of. And also, I mean, it's just going to help you in the end. A little bit of work now is going to pay off a lot. Like, of course, if you don't want to regret after you're getting your scores, you don't want to think that you could have done more, or you were wasting time or something. You don't want to feel that. So at that point, you should ideally feel like you've achieved your full potential. I mean, you don't have control over the results or the final outcome of it, but you really do control what goes into it. And also for me, this is just a usual stress busting tactic I usually use. Usually for interviews and things like that, I usually break down the process into like small chunks, and I sort of into the basic competence of it. So if I'm writing an exam or if I'm giving an interview, I just think about it. Like, what is the actual task? It's just answering a few questions on a piece of paper, right? Imagine going to someone and say, oh, I'm scared of answering a few questions on a piece of paper. That sounds silly, doesn't it? Like when you say it to yourself, it sounds really silly. Like, I understand you're scared of tigers, you're scared of snakes, but okay, you're scared of a piece of paper that's asking you a few questions. Like, I'm doing it right now. Spontaneously. So why can't I do it on a piece of paper, right? True. So, I mean, just kind of break it down sometimes.
Mm-hmm. So during previous episodes of the Smartcast, we've observed that everyone has their own strengths and weaknesses. So what I want to ask you is that how did you leverage your strengths and overcome the weaknesses?
It sounds a bit like a university interview, can't lie. Strengths and weaknesses. I feel like, okay, I'll go with strength. I'll go with the positive first. Okay. Yeah, second, the negative. Kidding. No, but yeah, I think my greatest strength is the fact that I just like learning in general. It doesn't really matter what it is. Like, even before, like sometimes before semesters or something, if I used to get bored, I used to go ahead and learn history, even though I never took history. It's just things. I just feel like the fact that I usually like to learn is what usually kept me engaged in the classroom, and it's really what helped me with my exams. The fact that whenever I went to a class, I was genuinely excited to learn. I was genuinely sort of excited to know more. And it sort of helped me dig deeper into each of the subjects, and it sort of helped me stay engaged and stay active. And that really helps having like that attitude towards learning or something. But it really helped me in the fact that I never really looked at learning something new in the class as, just studying. It was more or less exciting. It was always an exciting experience for me. It was always interesting to know something I didn't know before. And I think that really helped me, because not only did it help me like with my research for my IAs, with all of my TOK work, where you have to pull out examples from thin air, basically. So it always learning something new, always reading up on random things. That's something that helped me a lot in all my assignments and even my exams, because sometimes I'd learn something after watching a movie or something. I'd read about it and it pops up in the syllabus like a few months later. So, it's things like that that just, really help me with my IB experience. But in terms of weaknesses, definitely, I think time management was a big concern for me, because there was always so much going on, and like a lot of, and the fact that I was applying to medicine as well at the same time. So then there was a lot of things to be doing. And I felt that, there was a lot of pressure that sort of built up behind like all the assignments and the deadlines and stuff. So definitely looking back now, I wish I had spaced out my work a little better and started earlier. So to all the IB learners who are watching this, start your IAs right now. Right, stop what you're doing, finish the podcast, then go.
Right. So this is a very university interview sort of question that I'm going to ask you now. What are your future plans?
I'm ready. What are my future plans? Oh, where do I see myself in 5 years? Okay. Future plans. I'll be honest. I don't really have a long-term plan. I'm sort of someone whose interests are always evolving. So I'm kind of excited to see where that goes. But I always have a few fundamentals down. And in terms of fundamentals, I know I want to end up in a place where I'm always learning, in a place that's always adding to my skill set. And I hope that I'll, whether in university or unofficially just on my own with experiences, I'll always be gaining new experiences and always, gaining more information as a person. But in terms of the short-term plan, yes, I'm going to university. Surprise. No. Yeah. So I'm pursuing medicine right now, and I hopefully will become a doctor in the future. And but where it goes from there, exactly what kind of doctor, whether I'm gonna practice more or research more, we'll see. And it's something that I believe is subjective to how things evolve and in which direction that I find myself going in as I gain new experiences.
Great. So, lastly, on behalf of all of us at GIIS, would you like to give us any advice or tips from your experiences?
I think IB is really a learning journey for everyone, in that with everything that's going on with all, and it's not just IB, you have your college applications going on at the same time. So it really helps you grow and learn as a person. I mean, you figure out what your strengths and weaknesses are. I know I figured out what mine were. And I guess it's to look at it as a sort of learning journey, as a sort of it is a great end to your schooling experience. But that being said, don't stress out too much about it. It's really not the end of the world. I don't like your IA is not going to eat you up. It's really not. And once you really look at it, it's doable for everyone. And look at it more as a sort of launching platform for yourself. It's not the only platform, and that being said, it's not the only way to prove yourself. It's not the only way. It's no indicator of your current or future success. It's really not. But it is a place where you really learn. It is a place where you can you can sort of grow and grow with other people. So don't really think of it as the end of the world, but at the same time, do take it seriously. Do make sure your assignments are done on time. Make sure you prioritize all your activities. Make sure that when you're there in the classroom, you're really there in the classroom, because I cannot tell you how much of a difference it makes just to pay attention in class. It really reduces your workload later. So pay attention to all the little things. Make sure that as you go along, you're sort of conscious, so you do work more efficiently. Make sure that you're able to multitask as well, sometimes switching between activities. And not only is it good to sort of get a lot of things done, but it's also good to just keep your mind refreshed as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, do a lot. I mean, stress out a little about it. Stress is natural. Stress enhances your performance. It really does. But don't stress out so much about it that you feel like it's the end of the world. If you don't achieve a certain score, it's not gonna, you're not gonna achieve success or something. It's really not. It's really not that way. But at the same time, make sure that you do put in your best efforts, because you really don't want to leave it feeling like you could have tried harder. You want to make sure that you put in your all. You really gave it a good shot. And after that, once you're done, you can't really control the outcomes. Whatever happens really happens, but you can always rest assured that you tried your best, and that you achieved your potential, and that you've genuinely grown as a person. And also, don't forget to have fun. IB, ultimately, it's part of a school experience, and school always encompasses having fun. And also, you're gonna face a lot more stressful things later in life, and that's your real stress. That's your real test right there. So make sure that you make the best out of this experience, and that it's sort of gearing you up for that. It's not the final test, and it will never be. You always learn. So make sure that it's something. It's just a tool for you to grow as a person. And yeah, that's about it, I think.
Very wise words. Well, thank you so much, Shivani, for being with us today. It was an honor having you on the show, trust me. And to all our listeners out there, we hope you've taken note of all the tips and advice given to us for you to achieve your dreams and hopes in the near future. With that being said, we've come to the end of today's episode. Thank you, everyone, for listening to the GIIS podcast. Please like, share, and comment below. Follow us on SoundCloud /GIIS SmartCast. And feel free to send in suggestions and ideas for future episodes. Wishing all of you a good day. Until next time, this is Meher Singh signing off.